What's going on, Dolphins fans? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. This is what Colin Cowherd had to say about the Dolphins in the AFC East race.
So I'll start in the AFC East. Here is my woe. Miami wins it. Buffalo Jets Patriots. This whole Stephon Diggs cancel minicamp thing is a bigger story than people are letting on. That is weird. Secondly, Vic Fangio's defense. The people I trust in the league say he is the best acquisition Miami made, not Jalen Ramsey. He said, watch that defense. It's getting copied all over the league. Also, I get an offensive coach, Mike McDaniel, against the defensive coach, and I watched McDaniel outcoach him 3 times last year, and I think Miami's better, and I'm not sure Buffalo is.
So let's break down each point that Colin Cowherd made for why he thinks the Dolphins are going to win the division. So he has the predictions here to my right, and this is exactly how I would do it as the Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets, the Patriots. I think 1-2 is obviously the most debatable, but the Jets and the Patriots I think are pretty clear. But let's just go through all the points that Cowherd made in that video. Starting off with the very first one with Stephon Diggs claiming that he's going to just skip the rest of all of the minicamp, and there is a pretty decent point to be made. That is a pretty big deal that there is clearly something going on there with the Buffalo Bills and Stephon Diggs. Is it that he wants a contract extension? Is the relationship between him and Josh Allen an issue? Is the relationship between him and the coaching staff an issue? What the issue is still not exactly clear. But Stephon Diggs has made it clear himself that he is not going to be showing up for the entirety of the minicamp. You have one of the best players in all of football, one of the best receivers in all of football, and with this team that we're seeing year in year now that they just can't quite get over the finish line. Made the divisional round and the championship round, and then this last season got absolutely blown out at home by the Bengals. And things aren't going to get easier for them as Josh Allen's contract starts to eat in. We've seen that offensive line deteriorate. The defense, somehow, they were able to keep everybody on the defensive side of the ball, really, except for Tremaine Edmonds. But it is definitely a concern for the Buffalo Bills and Bills fans as to what's going on with Diggs. And, worst case scenario, is he going to be on the team by the time the season comes around? The second point that Connor made there was that the acquisition of Vic Fangio is arguably bigger than Jalen Ramsey. And, I kind of have to agree with that. I'm very happy with the Jalen Ramsey acquisition. It is nothing is in no ways a slight on Jalen Ramsey. I love the corner group we have, and this fingers crossed that this year they can actually stay healthy and be put together. But we saw just 3 years ago when you had a strong defensive coach, albeit at head coach, how good that defense could be. At times a top 5 defense. Now you have arguably the single best defensive coordinator in all of football in the house with the Dolphins, as well as adding Jalen Ramsey. It's a very talented defense. One of the prime acquisitions we saw last season, Bradley Chubb has worked with Vic Fangio, had his best year with Vic Fangio. The star-studded defense that we have, while still being able to be arguably better on the offensive side of the football, I really believe that Vic Fangio is going to be able to elevate this defense back to what it once was just 3 years ago. A lot of the same guys are still on the team. Xavier Howard, Christian Wilkins, added in Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey, Jalen Phillips. We've added to this defense, and now they finally have the right guy at the helm to call that. Next point he made was something that I've been saying for quite a few years now, is just having that offensive-minded coach taking on a defensive-minded coach. The NFL has severely swung to the offensive side of the football. You still need a defense, don't get me wrong. The second point was talking about the defense and how great it should be now that Vic Fangio is back in-house, or not back in-house, but in-house. The offensive head coach versus a defensive head coach is a big deal. The passing game is the way of the world now, and we have probably a good enough rushing attack. But we saw last year, which is actually probably, I think that was his last point there, McDaniel outcoached McDermott 3 different times. Now, albeit he only came away with 1 win, but we saw the Dolphins go up to Buffalo, outplay the Bills for 3.5 quarters, and then lose at the end of the game there in the regular season. And then with a backup quarterback going into the playoffs, going up to Buffalo and just losing by a handful of points. Saw that 3 separate times last year. The Dolphins outcoach the Bills with an offensive-minded coach in his first season. What's McDaniel going to look like this year with even more talent now? Also help on the other side of the ball, which he doesn't coach. You have the strength of a young, gifted, offensive-minded coach with the older, experienced, best defense coordinator in the league. I'm not going to sit here and try to argue against what Cowherd's saying. I think it's spot on. I love to hear it, especially since we know the takes that Cowherd has had, especially with Tua throughout the years. And, honestly, maybe a lot of them weren't necessarily incorrect, but he sees it here. He sees that the offense that the Dolphins are they going to be good enough to win the Super Bowl? Hopefully. We're not sure right now, but one thing we're sure of is this team can compete immediately with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have their own issues going on in-house. The talent is arguably swung in our direction. The coaching swung in our direction. They have the advantage at quarterback, but with the quarterback and the dynamic between the quarterback and the wide receiver deteriorating, how long is that advantage going to stand? What's going to happen to the Buffalo Bills in general this year? I think it's a pretty good chance for the Dolphins to finally gain back that division crown, superseding the Buffalo Bills. Again, I think the Jets and the Patriots, it's self-explanatory why they fall where they fall. Patriots just have little talent on that team. And then the Jets, probably a team that can compete for a playoff spot. I actually do think kind of highly of the Jets going into the season. I think they very much can compete for probably the last wild card spot. But it's a nice sign to see the Dolphins getting the respect that they truly deserve, the talent that they're going to have on the field, the talent in the coaching staff, well-rounded team that definitely can compete for the division. Do you believe in this list? Do you think that the Dolphins are going to end up winning the division? Let me know what you think down below. Sorry that we haven't been uploading a lot lately. Donovan and I both got some things going on in our lives that we're taking care of, but we definitely plan on uploading more, and just like we did on Wednesday, live stream every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. Make sure you're there. Even though we're both Dolphins fans, it's fun to hear me and Donovan yell at each other for about an hour and a half straight. So if you haven't come by to the live streams, they're funny. Please come by. But again, make sure to like, subscribe. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.